Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Indigo, if nobody else. And she's not here yet, but maybe she will be here before the show is done. In any case, I dedicate this show to her. Who am I? Who am I? I'm back in the studio doing whatever the heck it is that I do. I've been pondering this morning the nature of what I do. There's not really much of an explanation. I don't know what it is that I do. I'm compelled to generate this discussion every day and go into this information and think about it out loud for about an hour, give or take. It's been a little tiny bit more than an hour lately because I just get going and I can't stop. Every morning as I begin this show, pre-beginning the show, who am I? I think to myself, what the heck am I going to talk about today? What is there to talk about? Who the heck do I think I am? Hasn't this been, what am I doing? And I'm like, you know what? I never know. I never know where it's going to go. And I just launch, and then at some point in the show, it just rips me away. I go somewhere, and I just have to trust that it's going to happen today. That my larger self will sort of take over, because my smaller self does not know who I am. Who am I? Who am I? And you got to know that some of the show has been inspired by my own small self's crying out for who am I? Who am I? What the heck am I supposed to be doing here? What constitutes success? Where am I headed? What's the object of the exercise? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing, like, as a world citizen? And not just a whole dang list of all the things that, if I don't step lightly here and step lightly here and step lightly there, then all of the weight of humanity is crushing the planet, You don't want to end up in that kind of mental spaces, which as human beings, we end up all the time. Who are we? How do you be who you are to the full-throated, extent of your vibrational being without killing everything just by virtue of you being alive? What does humanity's systems do to the planet? That's a really good question. And I put this out as a general forum, for anybody to listen to, when actually, in some ways, the thrust of my conversation is really quite specialized. There are certain people who would really do very well to listen to what I'm saying, and there'd be fields of study and endeavor where my expertise is the perfect piece to insert right here in the equation to make the whole thing hum and spin like it's supposed to. We all have a place. We all have a place where what we do is perfect, and where the physical space around you needs exactly what it is that you can do. I believe this. I believe that this is true, that there is a place for all of us in the pattern of the world, if we could just allow it to be what it's trying to be naturally. With all of us just getting along and working together, there's a lot of reasons why we can't just flow forward. There's a lot of things that we do that by their very nature are interrupting the natural flow of of general well-being for all of us, that's trying to flow past us. One of the things that's stopping is our intense awareness of our own bank accounts, the numbers in our bank accounts and what's owed us and what's rightfully ours and what's not theirs. And this hyper awareness is not allowing general well-being to flow through. Now, there's reasons why, because we've got bad actors. We've got lots of bad actors. But I maintain that the bad actors actually are just another way to express the concept of ignorance in the field. People who don't know who they are and don't know how their equipment works and don't know how we're supposed to be going and flowing with one another, how we are a field phenomenon. I keep saying that expression, and at first it didn't really even mean that much to me as I said it, and now I understand what it means. It means that I am not just myself. I am two selves, and one of me is just myself, okay? And that's the one that I should have complete and utter autonomous control over. Now, what's going to threaten that complete and total autonomous control is going to be bad players. And the bad players are they're chaotic players because they don't understand, and they finally, most of us don't understand, but they finally just snapped, Something has just snapped, and the balance of their energy has gone to the Loki side, has gone to the Shiva side, is now in full-throated, full concert, chaotic mode, in destructive mode. I am now an agent of chaos. I'm spinning in opposition to what all of you are trying to create. And it's sort of like me in protest. It's also me in testament, in testifying of the energies of the world, Me being who I am and just doing what I do is, in a way, testifying to the universe of who I am and the nature of the universe. And the louder you get about it, the more difficult it is for other people to turn away and not see the nature of the universe. It's all visual aids. Even you could also even see. Now, it's ever so much more than that, because there's human feeling involved, people's feelings. And so when you're talking about chaotic modes and structures that are going to cause suffering, cause death, cause pain and agony, that matters. It really does. But a better way to ameliorate the suffering of our emotions is to understand them. And Abraham says something all the time that is difficult for us humans to really get. But if you start to sidle up to this and realize how true it is, that there is a sense where this is so true. And what she says is that there's nothing serious going on here. It's not nearly as tragic as you make it out to be. We make it tragic by the way that we look at it, by the way that we imagine that we only have one life, by the way that we imagine that when someone's gone, they are gone, when actually, in a very, very, very real sense, they are absolutely still here. And you can find that place in your soul, in your knowingness, by knowing that they are frequencies. And you can identify with whatever. Turns out who you really are is the frequencies, and those frequencies never go away. And those frequencies remember the experiences, remember the connections, remember all things. There is nothing more poignant and beautiful than the experience as it goes down in the moment, and that's true. But when you don't understand the nature of the world and what's going on, then actually some of those day-to-day things can start to get really horrifying. Well, this is taking me into all kinds of places. I can see all kinds of things, and every day I have to ask this question: what the F am I talking about in my show today? Where am I going to focus? How do I focus on this understanding of who we are and the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? How does it take me to a place where I, little me, understand who I am? And what am I supposed to be doing here? I am a human being. Esther's a human being. Abraham knows everything, but Esther still has to figure it out. But Esther is okay because Esther has always been living happily ever after, and that's one of the reasons why Abraham comes to her, because she's not angsty. And I actually am a pretty not angsty person, but I also am not a very, I don't have a lot of, I'm just la-di-dawing it. She has her business. She has a whole lot of physical action going on all the time. And she is just doing that. I really don't. I've slowed my motion down to almost a trickle. I could do almost anything I want. That's the position I'm sitting in. I'm sitting in a position where I don't really have any obligations. I have very few organizational structures of any kind anywhere around me. I belong to 2 bowling leagues. I have a very, very small family. I am I'm not blood adjacent. I am blood connected and family adjacent to a very large group of people. A very large group of people indeed, as a matter of fact, who are mostly, their connection still to one another is largely glued together by their religion. And a religion that tells them all the time to continue to gather, and so they do their family reunion every year religiously. And part of their family reunion, and it's not obtrusive, it's quite lovely. It's a camping thing that goes from Friday to Monday over Labor Day weekend, and has for the last, 20 years, 15 years, has gone over that period of time in a particular location, and they all meet. And on Sunday morning, since it's Labor Day weekend, it runs the first Sunday of the month, and so for this religion, it goes through fast and testimony meeting, and so the church happens to be fast and testimony meeting. We all gather. I haven't been to this family reunion for a long time because although I have no quarrel with the religion, there's no quarrel, I'm not pushing back against it. I find it interesting, and actually there are a number of aspects of it that I deeply appreciate and respect. I would do the little, I don't know what you call that thing where you put the praying hands together and you bow to the deity in front of you, and Indians, a lot of Asians do it a lot. It's the deity in me is bowing to the deity in you. It's sort of a co-recognition of one another's divinity. It's very cool. I don't know what you call that, but I kind of do that to their religion, but I don't share their same interpretation of the universe. I see their interpretation of the universe as a perfectly lovely recipe that gets them to their alignment, and in their alignment they are wildly successful, especially with one another. The businesses that they co-create and then, run in a town run by this church. All of that's perfectly lovely, works very well, except for one thing. And it's actually across the board. This is the problem. None of this accurately, as far as I'm concerned, really explains the negative self. I don't believe their explanation of the negative self. I think that it's a function of our nature, of the nature of the universe and the nature of ourselves as biological beings, as physical beings, as spiritual beings. And what does even any of those demarcations, what do they mean? What do they mean geometrically? What does it mean mathematically? What does it mean scientifically? What does it mean? What does it mean? Who am I? Who am I? And how do I understand my world? What's the object of the exercise? Why am I here? Now, there's lots of short answers, things like, we're here to love each other. We are here to love each other. And sometimes that's harder for us, in practice, especially faced, one-on-one with one another. We can be grumpy. We can be shy. We can be tentative. We can be shrinking violets, Is somebody going to accept me? I don't want to put myself forward, because what happens if the grumpy's at me? Then I shrivel into a raisin. And it takes me a while before I have the courage to come back out and put my nose back out and say, hey, I'm here. Who are we? Well, one of my favorite topics of discussion is the vibrational nature of creation and the inner being. What the heck is the inner being? Now, I'm having trouble right now because I just summoned specific individuals into my consciousness as I'm thinking of particular people in my life, that I have reason to interface with. And if I have problems with these people, or if I have things I want to say to them that this show relates to, then now I'm in a different place. I'm in a place where my little self is, not a place where my big self is. And only if I can get those two into the same area can my little self stay. Otherwise, she's got to go. She's got to leave the room, and with it, any of my individual concerns, my relationships with my family members or friends, or the world in general, the world at large. What am I doing with my life? It's a good question. I would like to help. Help what, you say? Help the condition of the world. I would like to contribute something to the wholeness that we are, something to the Project Humanity. I would like to contribute something. And we're all taught that that's a good thing. And it's implicit when we're young that the way we contribute is our job. Whatever it is, we go out, we get an education, and we pick a job in the structure. And we help move Project Humanity forward. That's kind of what is implicit. The way you do that is, and the way you make sure that everybody does that, is you force them to monetize. And that way, now you have to join Project Humanity. Because if you don't, then you don't have a ticket to the grocery store, and you don't have a way to pay for the roof over your head. And you don't have a way to pay for the things that, gas for your car, a car, all of that sort of thing. So it forces you to join the project, join the enterprise. Well, there's a bunch of things that are getting ready to change. Now, a bunch of things have already changed. Um, for instance, in the years since I was young, the the number of ways that have been created that are possible ways to monetize. There's a whole lot of things that exist now that did not exist when I was younger. When I was younger, all of the roles were very traditional, and all of the stores were very brick and mortar. You know, they expected all the jobs involved you being present in physical locations, doing very specific things for businesses that were well defined in the space. You know, for the most part, restaurants, hotels, or government jobs, or medical field, or scientific, they were very, there was the policeman, the nurse, the teacher, the anyway, it's kind of blown wide open, not cracked, it's blown wide open. And even the ability for an influencer, for instance, to tag into the zeitgeist of the current paradigm going on, the current whoever we are, and draw eyes. If I can draw millions of eyes my direction, that in itself is worth money now. And so now I can be clever. I can be entertaining. I can be outrageous. I can tag into everybody's fears or plug into I'm trying to plug into everybody's hopes and dreams, which are mostly dead out there. So, actually, I don't know if they're mostly dead. I believe that our hopes and dreams are alive and well. If I identify with a group of humanity and think that their hopes and dreams are dead, that would probably be my own generation. Boomers. But I also am not cynical. I don't think that the dreams of any of us are dead. We all have an inner being who is alive and well and completely in touch with actual reality going on right now. And you have access to that because every one of us has this inner being, and it's giving us guidance. And if we would but learn to understand our own guidance and follow it faithfully from our own position where we are, that none of us would be, we would all be okay. We would all be okay, every single one of us. Don't cross your own energy stream. Whatever you do, don't cross your own energy stream. And how do you know if you're crossing your own energy stream? You don't feel good. You've got any kind of negative emotion going on. Any kind of negative emotion. And it could be as vague as boredom. Boredom is a negative emotion. It's very slight. Very, very, very slight. Very little momentum going on that direction. But it is a negative emotion. Now, you can start getting farther into it. Frustration, overwhelmment, discouragement, disappointment. Now you're starting to get doubt, worry. Those are all states of negative emotion. If you are anywhere in any of those, no matter how light, you have lost your connection to who you really are. Because who you really are at its base level is satisfied, content, just okay to be here, not bouncing off the walls, just I'm okay. If you can achieve at least that on a consistent basis, the world will start flowing less chaotically for you, because it's actually your forays into your negative self that's interrupting the flow of your thought mind that's trying to figure it out. And every time you go negative, it's like the whole thing is interrupted. And you don't even realize it. You don't even realize it. You're splicing things together anyway, focused on the forms around you, not realizing that interruption from the negative, from the positive into the negative, is interrupting your whole flow of understanding. The whole flow of your thinking mind. That's why most of the time, the way to raise a human being's vibration is not to go into thought, but to go into no thought, because most people don't have any clue about how to think pure positive thought. We're not used to it at all. We're used to mixing in all kinds of elements of the field around us that we don't like, to even give us a landscape to explain or to have anything to talk about at all. We wouldn't know how to talk about the world if we didn't talk a lot of smack about different elements of the world. Because otherwise, what is there to talk about? Oh, it's lovely, it's wonderful, so grand. I will be brushing on recognition of some elements of humanity that are what we don't want. In other words, for just a couple of seconds, I will talk about the challenges that face us. But mostly we're going to be focused on our nature, which is when you realize what our nature is and the nature of the world around us, then the implications and the inference about, oh, this is what the solution would be then, it comes to you. So that's where we'll focus most of the time. For just a second, we are going to tip our hat to some problems that humanity does indeed have. We kill each other way too much. We have lots of chaotic, antisocial, bad actors out there. They're killing each other. They are stealing from each other. They are throwing monkey wrenches to project, social humanity. And they are being caused by us not knowing who we are. And as a matter of fact, it is I maintain that we are a collective creature. We are a field phenomenon. We are a single being that is trying to understand itself. And what happens is, whenever I don't understand myself and the situation, and I get backwards to my own energy stream, I cross my energy stream, and in doing so, it is an absolute implication that I don't understand what I'm doing, because now all my actions are creating more and more of what I don't want. But the louder and louder I do this, perhaps there is a chance that I might catch a glimpse of what I'm doing when I finally get fed up with the suffering that I'm causing myself. So I'm going backwards. I think I'm going forwards, but I'm actually turned backwards, and I'm now creating an energy field that is in the spaces around us. And it's not just me dealing with it. There's lots of fallout to my negative emotion. Say I am pissed off at an ex. I'm not, by the way. I'm role playing somebody else, but so I'm pissed off at an ex. I feel like they disrespected me. They absolutely did. They did not understand something. They didn't get something. They were mean to me. Now, at the same time, I am completely ignoring all the places where I did the same thing back to them, but I did it to them when I was under the influence of my negative self, and that's not really me. And so my memory of that is a little different than my memories of my positive self. And now, in my feelings of victimhood and my inability to let go of my negative self, I'm causing all kinds of chaos in the world around me that my child is going to have to deal with, my relatives. You can see, if you follow it from a practical, physical way, you can see the waves of these, the what the negative energy that they project, how it actually goes out into the world and resonates in different hearts and, glumps together and becomes more negative things going out there. What it is, let's think of it this way. Collectively, think of us as one being. We are humanity moving through time. We are pedagogically moving through time, in our infancy and then in our adolescence, and perhaps our civilization might be coming into its I still think we're adolescent right now. We're adolescent, but we might be sniffing maturity. Some of us are moving into our maturity, and that's assisting the rest of the group to move into its maturity. Who are we? Who are we as humanity? Well, the internet is our budding, blooming, blossoming, what's the word? Evolving, coming into being, like an embryo, embryonic. It's our embryonic nervous system coming into form as we inform ourselves. Now, all of a sudden, instead of this is it really looks good from this direction. I actually don't believe we are going to ever have another world war, because that was us before our nervous system was up and running, and it took longer for us to react to things. I'm sorry, I'm trailing off because I just wandered into a place where big thought, and it would take so many words to get me there, and it wasn't anywhere near where I was talking at the time, and so I decided, let's back out of that. We were discussing negative energy fields. It's like negative morphogenetic fields. What is a morphogenetic field? I would invite you to go look at the work of Rupert Sheldrake, who has studied morphogenetic fields his whole adult career. He considers himself a scientist, although he absolutely has a whole lot of spiritual recognition. Every real scientist is going to have deep spiritual respect for the fullness of this life experience that we are all interconnected with. And the point of connection between us all is a particular frequency, and that frequency feels like love and spiritual connection. It feels like a holy thing, that frequency that connects us all. When you tag into that one, it feels like this thing that they do in church. No wonder they hit that frequency in church, because it's a particular frequency. But now tag your physical mind into that frequency. Not so easy, is it? Because most of our thoughts involve quite a lot of negative things. And so that's why in this show, one of my favorite topics is, let's understand our negative self. Who is she? What is the meaning of it? What is our nature? What is the structure of the universe and the laws of the universe? And how do I go from where I am to where I want to be? Well, the short answer is you ride your feelings to it. Now, as human beings in the 21st century of the Western civilized world, We have been taught to focus on materiality, focus on the material world, because we are spirits in a material world, and so we got to understand the material world. But it's actually it's a spiritual world. We are So who are we? Who are we? We are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe, and there is a whole flow of expansion and and materiality, manifested, rolling manifestation. There's a whole thing going on already that you're a part of. Projects, Project Joy, Project Fun, Project Efficiency, Project Understanding, Project Communication, Project Energy. Project Energy. That's one of my favorite topics, because I know that a greater understanding, a better understanding of this matrix, of ourselves as this matrix, because I am this matrix, and my matrix is right, dovetails perfectly right into everything else all around me. And when I can find that point where I connect to all of it, what is my reward? It's peace, for one thing, internal peace, inner peace, because the only thing that's keeping you from inner peace is, what is lack of inner peace? It's disconnection. It's misalignment. What fixes that? Alignment. And so we talk about this topic of alignment every day. Alignment, alignment, alignment. What the hell is alignment? Well, alignment is, at the very, very least, at its lowest energy point, it's still pretty good. It's just like the 0-point energy field. At 0 Kelvin, it's still almost infinitely energetic. So at its lowest point, when I say that, it's still pretty damn big. What you're reaching for is satisfaction. 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 You're not reaching for a condition. Now, it is just exactly like us to be focused on the condition and not focused on the vibration. But this teaching is to help us flip it the other way around, so that we know how to focus on the vibration. How do you focus on a feeling? How do you focus on how you feel without focusing on the conditions that are making you feel that way? It's not the condition that's the problem. It really isn't, even though your feeling that way is causing you to resonate with every condition out there that matches the feeling that you've got going on. That's why your consciousness keeps being tagged to the outside condition, and it keeps reaffirming to you that it is the condition. It's the condition that's the problem. It's not my feelings about it. My feelings about it are perfectly justified, because anybody who had this condition would have that feeling. That's not what's happening. You are igniting that resonance with you having tuned to that frequency is what's causing you to resonate with every condition out there that matches that frequency. If you'd pick a different frequency, all kinds of different things in the world would light up for you. It just works that way. And the whole secret has to do with whether you are in alignment with yourself or not alignment with yourself. You have two selves inside of you, and they are data flows. They are flows of data and information at different scales. One of them is coming at you from your individual individual perspective scale, and the other one is flowing at you from a universal scale. It's like the bigger one coming at you. And it's more general because the whole thing has to come at you. And so it can't be really specific about any of the details. That's what your specific self is for. So wherever you're standing, so I'm standing in this place in my life where there's almost nothing going on. And I'm sitting with fairly decent resources. I mean, we're not, jillionaires or anything. And most of our money or a lot of our resources are tied up in the house, which is not exactly liquid if you want to stay living here. But it could be traded in for 2 smaller houses, where I could have one in one location and one in another location. Interesting. Well, what do I want to do? Well, I'd like to, wherever I am, I would like to still be able to do this show in some manner. I would like it to be conducive to my free time or my scheduling or how I frame it so that my head gets into this space in the morning. Or I've been learning to play golf with my husband, and the golf has been a wonderful medium that has allowed us to connect with one another, and I have been finding little ways to connect this information to him, because he's not like this at all. He's not of a spiritual bent. He's very stodgy in a way, but he's got an innate sense of balance and just general unarticulated but absolutely lived faith in the processes of the universe and his own ability to work it out as it comes. Don't take it too far in advance, especially if it's putting your panties in a bunch. Take it as it comes, and then you can flow with it reasonably. If you try to take it too fast, faster than you're able to, then that's when your emotions get mixed up. And the most important thing, the highest value, is drama-free. I feel okay. Have how you feel be the most important thing. And actually, that is one of the most important things. He's very, very conscious of how he feels, and he is not willing to go into places. He's not willing to light his hair on fire and run out into the street just because you tell him that the fascists have just, taken over the White House or whatever. He's like, I don't know. Let's let this play out, and let's just see how it goes. And you know what? I have come to realize that in a way he's not wrong. But there is also the value, and he gets this, of getting out ahead of things when you can see what the problem is before, you don't have to let it play all the way out, in the sense that, I don't want it to get all the way out to the storm level. I can see this. I can see it coming. I can go gather my jacket. I can batten down the hatches. I can deflect the eye of the hurricane over that direction. I don't know. I'm spitballing now. There are visions that you can have of the greater picture that illuminate things for you, but if it causes you to churn into negative emotion, it's not helping you, because somehow you have just lost your connection to your source. And the way you know that is you're in negative emotion. Because if you're in positive emotion, if you are connected to source, you are in positive emotion because your source is always positive. That's sort of one of the ground rules you have to sort of agree on. That your inner being is a positive self. She's not a mix of positive and negative. She's positive. She's positive. She's positive. She's joyful. She is all of the aspects of your personality, from contentment on up, from satisfaction on up. And now, a lot of times, source is just kind of humming along at I'm perfectly satisfied. Nothing wild going on. Just, I'm satisfied, I'm satisfied. It's being in a human form that can get you to those higher notes. It's almost like the meaning of being in a human skin is that we are in possession of this really amazing musical instrument, cosmic musical instrument, and what it plays is emotion. And the really cool thing is that emotion sings to the universe, and the universe absolutely is responding back. Now, if you play only positive notes, you're not crossing any of your own energy, but you're also not the negative notes. Hold on a second. My heater is too warm over here. What is the meaning of our positive and negative self? What is it? Now, I maintain that all is positive. Everything is positive. It's all God. It's all love. It's all the matrix. It's all this wonderfully designed, perfect entity that we are all intrinsically part of. We are part of it at the at the quantum level. We are part of it at the cosmological level. And we have these two scales. And these two scales, you could think of them as the small scale. Actually, we go from the quantum to the cosmological, and right smack dab in the middle is biology. And you as your physical human self. That's you, right smack dab in the middle, possessing a consciousness that can understand the field all the way from the densest material aspect of it out to the lightest, airiest, most spiritual aspect of it. But it's all one thing. It's all one energy field matrixing us all together. And as a human being, I possess an amazing instrument. Now, how do you play this instrument? Well, you got to understand the instrument. You got to understand that it is you and it is pure. Okay, let's understand this instrument. Let's see our emotions as an instrument. Now, you can either play clear tones that are resonating with your larger self and your larger flow of data and information connected to the whole universe and all of us and the whole thing. Or you can play notes that are negative notes that are in our wow, I'm gonna work on this one because it is the perfect analogy. And what are you doing when you are in a state of negative emotion? Your energy streams have crossed one another. You've crossed your own energy stream with your individual small thoughts. And I got into this yesterday somewhat as we talk about the neocortex having granted humanity an overview mind, and now it matters the thoughts that you think, how they resonate with your true overview mind. If your physical overview thoughts are small and mean and petty, and the conclusions that you're drawing about the whole picture are small and mean and petty, then maybe you're thinking things like, we are better than everybody else. We are the master race, and we need to, subjugate all the others who are lesser and don't deserve, and all kinds of things that your inner being knows is not true. But by thinking those kinds of thoughts, what you do is you throw yourself into your negative self. I'm sure that Hitler was angry most of the time. He was in his negative self. And just, gone to town with that one. And you can see how it made him so wrong. so wrong about the nature of the world, so wrong about the nature of other people, so wrong about the nature of himself and the object of the exercise and the purpose of everything. You can see how when you get this configuration scrambled, how it affects everything. And how a better understanding of this could really, really help us deal better with one another, deal more kindly with one another. Let's redo our criminal justice systems. We can still hold people accountable. We can still get to the truth. Courts of law are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things. The way they have been able to, the way that you can take something into a court of law and then determine some version of physical truth. What happened, you know? Now, is it absolute? Absolutely not. But this paper trail that we've been creating, it's all going to the question, who am I? And if you would but turn in that direction as you look at what we have wrought on this planet, you will see how massive paper trails always imply a massive need for us to turn that direction and look at who we are. And from this point of view, the one that I'm talking about, that we are two selves, and our true self is positive and good and connected to the whole field and wants to be connected to the whole field. Everyone is good. Even the bad ones are good. Even the antisocial ones are good. Quit defining them as bad and throwing them into horrible places and throwing the key away and going, you bloody deserve it, yeah. You know, none of us deserve this. None of us deserve the bad. So I threatened about half an hour ago to mention very quickly the problems that humanity has. And I guess I got as far as we kill each other a lot. And then I just went off on something else. We have war. We have world poverty. We have all kinds of murder and destruction. We have sixth mass extinction of biological diversity on this planet. It's just awful. Sixth mass extinction. And it's completely caused by human behavior, human ignorance, human not playing nice with the rest of the field. Quite frankly, I believe that it is humans not knowing who we are. I think it's just us not knowing who we are. It's just as simple as that. And it would be solved by something just as simple as that. And yet, could there be anything harder? On the other hand, could there be anything more natural? Because honestly, I think it's just going to come to us, because it's just the same way that artificial intelligence starts to, because there's a feed-forward feedback system in the field. And the only reason why human beings don't get it more quickly is they have a physical mind that can work as a filter to sort of fend off intelligence. It's so funny. We think that we are more intelligent than anybody else. And actually, our thinking mind mostly fends off intelligence. However, I'm going to give us credit for this, because our physical mind is actually capable of understanding ultimate intelligence. It is capable of doing it. It just has to go at it from a pure positive perspective. It can't fend any of it off. It can't be judging or subtracting or twisting stuff around. It has to allow it all to be what it is. Who am I? Such a good question. Such a good question. And how do I use this information? Well, you're going to use it individually for two things: to help understand your own positive and negative emotions, and then from your position, from your physical specific position on the grid, on the board, you will use this information to translate the meaning of the bad players around you. As you look at them and go, oh, I see what you are doing now. You do not know who you are. You are backwards to your own energy. You've got your own energy stream crossed. You're thinking negative thoughts where your small self is thinking negative thoughts and your greater self never thinks negative thoughts. And that's where your energy stream is crossed, right there. One of you's going that way, expanding with the field, all possibilities in front of you, everything available. So many wonderful possibilities and experiences all ahead of us. And then there's little you. Which direction are you facing? Are you facing forward with all of us, or are you going the other direction? Are you swimming upstream instead of flowing downstream with the whole field? Who are we? So it is 56 minutes into this. I am going to go over, and I'm not going to push pause or anything. Anybody who has made it through the video all the way can hear me interacting with my audience. Hopefully I have somebody over there, perhaps, who has left me a message, a waving hello to me or whatever. Hi. Oh, dang it, you've only been here for 15 minutes. Well, may I invite you to re-listen to, I don't even know how to go, well, I know how to find my feed, but I find it from my studio. I have no idea how the world finds my replay, the replay of my live stream. But I know you know how to find it, so go watch it. Go watch it from the beginning and see whether I did a good job today. And give me a like if you like it. Unfortunately, I'm pretty much close to the end of my gas. I'm running out of gas. I don't really know where to go from here. I am solving all of our problems. Every single one of our problems can be addressed from this position, from understanding who we are, and then using our actual nature to solve our problems. Right now, our actual nature, well, our presumed nature is what's causing all the problems, but our actual nature could solve all of them, bring us back into where we are creating, we are aiding and abetting and assisting the explosion of biological diversity upon this planet. And it might, even though it took millions of years to do it incrementally, unconsciously, that's the way God works, we could perhaps accelerate. We've got a lot of biological diversity saved in the zoos and wildlife preserves all over around the planet, which I hate zoos. Everybody should hate zoos, but you know what? There's value in everything, and there's a lot of biological diversity locked up all over this planet, being saved from the rest of us, trying to catch it and use it to capitalize. I did start the discussion talking about the sneaky way that the wholeness has gotten us to all participate by forcing us all to capitalize. But in this day and age, there are so many more ways to do it than when I was growing up. Go watch TV shows from way back in the early days, 60s, 70s, and look at how narrow their idea of what a job was. you know? And they were all in person, and they were all, all stores were brick and mortar. There wasn't anything else. And now, how many more ways you can be a there weren't yoga instructors. You can be a yoga instructor, a YouTube influencer. You can be, you can run an internet store. There was no internet. There was no cell phones. There was no. So interesting where we have come from and where are we going? Who are we? And with that, it looks like I have past an hour. I think I will do one thing before I leave. Let's see. How do I do this? Jiminy Cricket. So sorry. I was just doing one thing. I'm so bad. I'm so bad at the chat. And then I want to send you a heart. This is so silly. I hate my... There it is. That's all I want to do. All right. So I guess until tomorrow, when I will probably be back, I can never... Oh man, I'm having trouble with my mouse. It's jumping everywhere. Until tomorrow. And if you missed any of today's show, please go back and listen to the replay. I don't know if you can get all of my videos. I have hundreds of them over there. If you want to go track any of what I ever did before, how this has evolved to where I am now, I am just little me broadcasting from the wilderness. From the wilderness, I am out in the field, broadcasting from the field. Who am I? And I will be back tomorrow. And until then, may the source be with you.